Okinawan farmer reveals why nobody in my village has dementia. Americans have never heard of it. I want to tell you about my neighbor Shinjo. Shinjo is 88 years old. Every morning at 6, he walks to the small shrine at the end of our road. Same path, same pace, same quiet prayer. Then he comes home, makes his tea, tends his garden for 2 hours, and eats breakfast. He has done this every single morning for as long as anyone in this village can remember. Last week I stopped to talk with him on that path. We talked about the bitter melon harvest. We talked about his daughter who visited from Naha. We talked about the weather turning and what it would mean for the sweet potato. He remembered every detail of a conversation we had 3 weeks ago. He asked about my granddaughter Hannah by name. He told me a story about something that happened in this village in 1974, 50 years ago, with the clarity of someone describing yesterday. Shinjo is 88 years old, and his mind is completely intact. This is not unusual here. I want you to sit with that for a moment, because I think you have been told, by your culture, by your media, by the quiet background hum of the world you live in, that losing your mind as you age is simply what happens. That dementia is the price of a long life. That if you live long enough, the memories will go. The names will go. The person you have spent 80 years becoming will slowly dissolve. I am here to tell you that is not true. It is not what happens here. It is not what happens in this village, or in the villages nearby, or among the people in Okinawa who are still living the way people here have lived for centuries. The research on this is not hidden. Scientists have been studying Okinawa for decades, specifically because of this question. Why do so many people here live so long and keep their minds for all of it? I am not a scientist. I am a farmer. I grow bitter melon and purple sweet potato on a small plot of land that belonged to my father and his father before him. I fish when the season is right. I walk where I need to go. I have lived in this village my entire life, and I have watched people age here for 67 years. And what I have watched is this. The people who eat the way we have always eaten, who move the way we have always moved, who live inside a community the way we have always lived, those people keep their minds. Not all of them forever. Life is not a guarantee. But the rate at which the people of this village lose their mental clarity compared to what I have read about the rest of the world, it is not a small difference. It is a vast difference. A difference that should be front-page news every single day until someone does something about it. My mother is 91. She corrected me last Tuesday when I misremembered the year my father bought the fishing nets. She was right. I was wrong. She knew it immediately. I want to tell you what I think is happening. Not from a textbook, from 67 years of watching. There are things we eat here that I believe protect the brain. There are things we do not eat that I believe destroy it. There is a way of living here, the pace, the community, the purpose, that I believe keeps the mind working the way it was designed to work, for as long as the body is alive to support it. Let me start with the food. The single most important thing I eat for my brain, the thing I am most convinced matters more than anything else, is turmeric. We call it ukon here. It grows in this soil. It has grown in this soil for as long as anyone can remember. Every morning of my life I drink a cup of warm water with turmeric in it before I do anything else, before I speak to anyone, before I eat anything. Warm water and turmeric, sitting on the back step of my house, facing the garden, in the quiet before the day begins. This is not something I started doing because I read about it. This is something my mother did, and her mother before that. It is simply what you do in the morning in Okinawa if you grew up the way I grew up. The scientists now have a name for the compound in turmeric that they believe does the work. They call it curcumin. They have spent years studying it, and what they have found is striking. Curcumin appears to cross the blood-brain barrier, which very few substances can do, and once inside the brain it has anti-inflammatory effects and may interfere with the formation of the plaques that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. India has some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's disease in the world. Okinawa has some of the lowest rates in Japan. Both cultures have consumed turmeric daily for centuries. I am not saying this is the only reason, but I am saying it is not a coincidence. 1 cup of turmeric tea every morning, that is all. Warm water, a half teaspoon of turmeric, a small amount of black pepper. The black pepper matters. It dramatically increases how much curcumin your body actually absorbs. My mother adds a little honey. I drink it plain. Start there. Start tomorrow morning instead of whatever you are drinking now. The second thing is tofu. I eat tofu every single day. In my miso soup in the morning, sometimes at lunch, often at dinner. Soft tofu, firm tofu, tofu that has been simmered in broth until it absorbs everything around it. Tofu that my daughter makes fresh, the way her grandmother taught her. Tofu is made from soybeans, and soybeans contain compounds called isoflavones. These isoflavones behave similarly in the body to estrogen, not identically, but similarly. And there is strong evidence now that they play a role in protecting the brain as we age, particularly against the kind of cognitive decline that accelerates after hormonal changes in midlife. The rates of dementia among traditionally eating Japanese women who consume soy every day of their lives are significantly lower than the rates among Western women of the same age. The rates among Okinawan women specifically are lower still. My wife Fumiko ate tofu every day until her later years, when she drifted toward more convenient food. I have thought about that many times since she left. I will not tell you tofu would have saved her. I do not know that. But I know that the shift away from the food she grew up eating did not help her, and I believe it hurt her in ways neither of us understood at the time. Eat tofu every day if you can. Your brain needs what it contains, and it needs it consistently over years and decades, not occasionally. The third thing is seaweed, specifically kombu and mozuku, the seaweeds that go into the miso soup I make every morning. The seaweed that sits in the broth, that releases its minerals slowly into the liquid that I have been drinking every morning since I was old enough to sit at the table. Seaweed is one of the most mineral-dense foods on earth. It contains iodine in forms that are highly bioavailable to the human body. And iodine, adequate iodine throughout a lifetime, is deeply connected to brain health. The thyroid needs iodine to function. The thyroid regulates metabolism throughout the body, including in the brain. When the thyroid is working well, the brain receives the signals it needs. When it is not working well, when iodine is chronically insufficient, as it is for many people eating Western diets without regular seafood or seaweed, the effects on cognitive function accumulate slowly and quietly over years. Seaweed also contains a type of fiber that feeds the gut microbiome specifically. And the connection between the gut microbiome and the brain, what scientists are now calling the gut-brain axis, is one of the most significant areas of brain research happening right now. What lives in your gut communicates directly with your brain. The health of your gut bacteria influences your mood, your clarity of thought, your memory, your risk of neurological disease. And traditional Okinawan food, fermented miso, seaweed, pickled vegetables, sweet potato, feeds those gut bacteria exactly what they need. The fourth thing is bitter melon, Goya, the vegetable that grows on the vines behind my house that I harvest every few days from June through September, that I have been eating my entire life in the dish we call Goya champuru, bitter melon stir-fried with tofu and egg and a little soy sauce. It is an acquired taste. I will not pretend otherwise. The first time I gave a piece to my grandson Rio, he looked at me with the expression of someone who had been betrayed. He is getting used to it. But bitter melon does something in the body that I find remarkable the more I read about it. It appears to regulate blood sugar with unusual effectiveness. It contains compounds that mimic insulin activity and help cells respond to glucose properly. And this matters enormously for the brain, because the brain is the most glucose-dependent organ in the body. It runs almost entirely on glucose. When blood sugar is chronically elevated, when insulin resistance develops over years of eating processed sugar and refined flour, the brain's ability to use glucose efficiently is compromised. Some researchers have begun calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes because of how strongly insulin resistance in the brain appears to drive the disease. We do not have type 2 diabetes in this village. Not in the traditional part of this village, where people still eat the old way. And I believe, watching the connection between blood sugar and brain health become clearer in the science every year, that this is part of why we do not have the dementia rates that the rest of the world has. Control your blood sugar. Control it through food, through bitter melon if you can find it, through eliminating processed sugar and refined flour, through eating the way your great-grandmother ate before any of this processed food existed. Your brain is downstream of your blood sugar in ways that will show up 30 years from now if you do not act on them today. The fifth thing is jasmine tea, sanpin cha. I drink 4 or 5 cups every day. It has been the drink of Okinawa for centuries, brought here through trade with China long ago, and woven so deeply into daily life here that offering someone tea is the same as offering them a seat at your table. Green tea, and jasmine tea is green tea with jasmine flowers, contains compounds called catechins. EGCG is the one researchers focus on most. These catechins have powerful antioxidant effects in the brain. They reduce the oxidative stress that damages neurons over time. They appear to promote the growth of new neural connections. They cross the blood-brain barrier and do their work directly where it matters. The populations that drink green tea daily have lower rates of cognitive decline. This has been studied in Japan specifically, and the results are consistent. More tea, less dementia. It is not complicated. It is not expensive. It is a cup of tea. Now I want to talk about something that is not food. Because I said earlier that I believe the way we live here matters as much as what we eat. And I mean that. The food is the foundation. But the structure built on top of that foundation is what makes Ogimi what it is. We have Moai here. A Moai is a group of people, usually 5 to 10, who commit to each other for life. They meet regularly. They share meals. They share money when someone needs it. They share grief when someone loses someone. They share everything that is too heavy to carry alone. My Moai has 7 men. We have been meeting every week since our 30s. The oldest member is 84. The youngest is 58. We drink tea and argue about the weather and the fishing and occasionally about politics, and we have been doing this for over 30 years. The research on loneliness and brain health is as clear as any research I have ever read about. Chronic loneliness is as damaging to the brain as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It elevates cortisol, the stress hormone, which when chronically elevated destroys neurons in the hippocampus, the part of the brain most critical for memory formation. Lonely people develop dementia earlier. They progress faster. They die sooner. This is not a small effect. This is one of the most powerful forces acting on the aging brain. And in the modern Western world, where people live alone, where neighbors do not know each other's names, where someone can go days without a real human conversation, this force is acting on hundreds of millions of people simultaneously. In Ogimi we do not have this problem, not because we are special, because we built our lives around each other, because we have always understood that a person alone is a person in danger. That community is not a luxury or a preference. It is the same as food and water. It is something the human being requires to survive properly. Find your Moai. Find 5 people and commit to them. Meet every week. Eat together. Show up when it is inconvenient. Your brain needs this the way it needs turmeric and tofu. It is not optional. The last thing I want to tell you about is Ikigai. Ikigai means the reason you wake up, the thing that makes the morning make sense. For me it is the garden. It is my granddaughter Hannah, learning to tend the bitter melon vines beside me on weekend mornings. It is the fishing. It is sitting with my moai. It is this, talking to you, sharing what I know, trying to give something useful to people I will never meet. Research on purpose and brain health shows something remarkable. People who score high on measures of life purpose have significantly lower rates of Alzheimer's disease. They have lower rates of mild cognitive impairment. They maintain cognitive function later into old age. The brain, it seems, needs a reason to stay sharp, the way the body needs a reason to stay strong. Give it nothing to work toward, and it will begin, slowly and quietly, to work less. We do not retire in this village in the way retirement is understood in the Western world. My neighbor Shinjo, at 88, still tends his garden. Mrs. Uehara, at 96, still cooks. My mother, at 91, still walks to the market every Tuesday because the market is where she sees people, and being seen by people matters to her, and she knows it matters. They did not get a memo telling them to keep going. They simply never stopped. And I believe their brains are the direct beneficiary of that decision. Find your ikigai. Not the big dramatic purpose, if that feels too large right now. Start smaller. Find the thing that makes Tuesday morning worth getting up for. Then protect it. Prioritize it. Build your days around it the way my days are built around this garden and these people and this food. I am 67 years old. My mind is clear. My memory is intact. I know the names of every plant in my garden and every person in this village and every story my father ever told me before he died at 94, still gardening. This is not luck. This is turmeric tea every morning, tofu and seaweed in the soup, bitter melon from the vines, jasmine tea through the day, a moai of 7 men who have shown up for each other for 30 years, a garden that gives me a reason to get up before the sun does, nuchi gusui, food is medicine, community is medicine, purpose is medicine. Every day you either feed your brain what it needs or you slowly starve it of what it cannot live without. Shinjo will walk to the shrine again tomorrow morning. He will remember everything. He will tend his garden. He will make his tea. You can build a life that looks like that. You can start building it today. Nuchi Gusui.